We've been talking a lot recently about that H Street streetcar project in the District of Columbia. They spent $190 million on it, but is it ever going to work? Joining us on the line, very happy to have him, is Leif Dormsjo, who's the D.C. Acting Transportation Director. Mr. Dormsjo, do I have that correct? Did I get that right?
You did. Great job.
Well, good. Thanks. Listen, I know this is not your project. I understand that you are the acting transportation chief. This is something that you inherited from a previous administration. But $190 million has been spent to try to get this project up and running down on H Street, and it's still not running. It catches on fire. It bumps into other cars. And just the other day, Bruce Johnson from Channel 9 was out there on H Street, and he noticed this as the streetcar was coming up the street.
We saw a streetcar that was stopped because the operator had to ask a legally parked driver to fold his side mirror, thus allowing the streetcar to proceed.
He came out and asked me could I fold my mirror in so he wouldn't take it off.
That's right. The mirror was out. An illegally parked car was so close to the streetcar that the streetcar operator had to stop and ask the guy to pull in his mirror. It sounds like this was badly designed from the very beginning, that it's just simply not going to work. Are you ever going to make the determination to pull the plug on this project?
Well, I've said in the past that, if you were going to put a streetcar project together, you wouldn't have designed it this way. I mean, I think that there's no debate about that conclusion. There were a lot of promises made, a lot of hasty decisions, and that all contributed to a system that's not optimal. And so those conflicts with parked cars and even cars moving through that corridor are presenting some challenges, without a doubt. I think what the mayor has asked me to do is to get it right and to do a top-to-bottom assessment of the program and understand what our alternatives are. The intent is to get it open. I think our bias is to make sure that the investment that has been made isn't squandered. The corridor is very dynamic. There's been a ton of economic development there. We certainly want to get a safe, reliable transit amenity up and running. But at the same time, the mayor's been, very solid on this. She wants it to be safe. She wants it to be effective, and she's told me to get it done, but get it done, with a clear-eyed assessment of what the service should be. And so that's the backing that I really need to get in here and see what we can do.
Yeah, this isn't on her. I mean, I'm willing to say that right up front. But I mean, can you overcome what seem to be a lot of inherent problems with this? I mean, is it fixable?
Well, everybody knows that the launch has been delayed, and we've had these challenging issues with the mixed traffic. What I've decided to do is bring in a national team of experts. They're here in D.C. this week. They're doing a review, and they're going to give me an assessment of the system's operational readiness. They'll wrap up their site visit this week and then provide me a report of their findings and recommendations within the next 45 days. The whole point there is to provide some context around where we are relative to other streetcar programs. There have been a number of streetcar programs that have launched in the last 5 to 10 years. They too have had challenges because of the mixed traffic environment, but making sure that we're doing everything that we can in terms of education and enforcement, the operation of the vehicles to limit those collisions and those conflicts and some of those issues with cars and pedestrians. But we also want this review to get into the guts of the program and to really look at the standard operating procedures, the training programs, the systems that we're using. The mayor's inherited this. She's not running away from it. She's told me get in there, understand what we've got, and give her the best recommendation for how to move forward. And all those alternatives, from mothballing the project, opening it up, expanding. All those options are on the table. I think that's the exact approach that we should be taking.
Okay. And Mr. Dormsjo, on Friday at a hearing, you said, and I'm quoting you now, this project over 10 years was developed in an unprofessional and haphazard, contradictory, and inconsistent manner. Am I quoting you correctly?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, and given that, I think we're seeing the fruits of the horrible labor that went into this over those last 10 years. That's why I think you would agree there are so many problems right now in getting this thing up and running. I know as a solid professional, and I know that the mayor as well as a very conscientious public official, you're not going to let this thing run unless you are 100% sure that it is safe and it is effective and it's going to work. Given that, there has to be a threshold here. I mean, if you come back with your recommendation and it turns out it's going to be another $100 million or maybe another $50 million, where is the threshold where you say, okay, yeah, we can make it safe, we can make it work, but it's just not worth the cost?
That's a good question. I'd like to be able to give you kind of a simple answer to that, but it's just not possible because it's a combination of different things. It really comes down to time, money, but just also whether or not we have a level of confidence that the key safety components of the system are going to work the right way. And I think the mayor's been clear with me. She wants me to put safety at the top of all of our assessments, whether it's something that we're doing with streetcar or metro or our highway program. She said, let's make sure that safety is our number one public value. Again, we inherited this, but that's not an excuse. We've got to be responsible. We've got to be prudent. And we have to be active. We have to try to be successful. I'm not planning for failure here.
No, sure.
I wasn't brought in to turn things off. I was brought in to start things up, to get stuff built, and that's the attitude of the mayor. And she's putting the right resources to work. Everything that I've asked for in terms of technical support and time and political backing, she's provided. So I've got to say that I've got great leadership here, but we're going to have a very objective, honest, fact-driven assessment. And my message has been one of candor, and that's what the committee heard from me last week.
But I have to say, Larry asked sort of like the question. Is there a point at which you don't throw more good money after bad?
I think that I answered that last week in the affirmative. I mean, we have to think about the future investments, the future budgetary commitments that the district would be making to this program. If I can't justify, that next dollar in, I'm not gonna be asking for that support. But I think the message is we've got a system here. It's been a long road. There were some poor planning decisions, but we've got to make the best of it if we can, because it's unacceptable to just throw in the towel. And I think that the mayor's told me, fix it, get it right. She values public transit. That's clear. Right. And we don't want to give up before we have a clear understanding of what can be done.
All right.
Well, we're going to have to leave it right there.
And then if you decide to give up, we will stand by you, sir. We'll leave it there.
All right, Leif Dormsjo, the Acting Transportation Director for the District of Columbia. We'll hope you'll come back as you go further along in this process. We'd like to get an update when you can.
I'd love to, guys.
All right. Thank you much.
All right.